How excited are you that you guys are here, and also how destabilizing or irritating the rumors, constant rumors about the club being sold have been for the last?
Yeah, so let's address the second question first. This goes back to 2019 after I think Bidvest Wits was sold, and then I think afterwards Highlands Park a year later Highlands Park was sold, I think so. So in each of those instances, the story's broken out, and right at the outset in 2019, I issued a media release to say the club is not for sale, and no one's come to us for sale, and it's not true. So I did that in 2019, I did that in 2020, I did it last year, and now I'm doing it again in 2022. So it's very frustrating and disappointing in a way that such a media frenzy about this thing comes out of irresponsible and misinformed journalism. And so I even like wasting time talking about it now. The club isn't for sale, it's not being sold, and we've said what we've had to say about it. And I put a memo out to the players a couple of days ago when it first broke, because I thought just in case some of the players are a little bit edgy about it, because they started phoning me. So it is destabilizing, and it is upsetting and disappointing that people want to keep targeting the club as being for sale. So I think you've heard from the chairman today that the club is not for sale, and we can put that one to bed now. I'm tired of keeping on answering the same question for 3 years in a row, and I'm still standing here, and I still have a club, and you know what I mean. We've won our trophy with Caetano when the club was supposed to be sold, and now we've got Gavin Hunt as a coach, and the club is supposed to be sold. So for me, I don't want to talk about it anymore. It's something that's I just want to dismiss, and whoever else wants to carry on talking about it, we'll talk about it in 2023 and 2024 again.
Just to close it off, Mr. Matthews, I mean, a lot of people speak of the league sponsors being a sister company of yours, under the same umbrella. How do you address sort of concerns of conflict of interest in that regard?
Well, I'm not concerned, because the football club is its own entity and has run as an independent football club as SuperSport United since 1997. In that time, lots of things have happened in the football landscape. The fact that there's a DStv Premiership now and not an ABSA Premiership. In a few years' time, it might be a different type of Premiership. So we don't see that the football club has to hinge on the sponsor of the Premiership. We run with as an independent entity. We have set budgets. And I think we've tried to stand as a football club with a very serious intent and integrity about how the way we've run our football club. Your own brother, I signed him as a young lad from the School of Excellence, and he went on to become the most decorated player in the PSL. And that's something that we're very, very proud of. All the things that we've done as a football club in producing, I think, some of the finest young talent that the country's had over the past 20 years have come from SuperSport United. Some of the most sensational players for the big three, for Chiefs, Pirates and Sundowns, have come from SuperSport United. And I think that we make a fantastic contribution to South African football. Our players are happy and well looked after. They get developed, they get educated. Our young ones from the academy get housed and schooled and educated and accommodated and brought through the ranks, so that the big three can come knocking and put pressure on us and take them away from us, which is what happens year after year. But we've found our place in South African football as a disruptor. We're even in our coachless state with an interim coach managed to beat Chiefs and Pirates in the last 6 games of the season. And we always cause trouble for people. We were obviously very disappointed not to advance to the Nedbank Cup final last year. But we've made a mark. We've played in 17 cup finals. We've been to a Confed Cup final. We've won 3 league championships. We've got pedigree as a football club in our 25 years that no other club outside of the big 3 can come remotely close to touching. So we have a tremendous sense of pride. Obviously also humility, because we're a small club and we've never tried to box beyond our means. We've had years where we've been able to be a little bit more aggressive and go have more senior players, like when Stuart Baxter was here, and we had quite a lot of high-end players, if you want to call it that. But if you can't see that the football market's changed, and if you want to go back to when COVID started and replay some of the interviews that some of you had with me, I said that after COVID there was going to be a bigger gulf between the big 3 and the rest of the pack, and that you can replay those interviews, and that was always going to be a scenario. But what's happened even worse is a worldwide recession and worldwide pressure, a war in Ukraine and Russia that's put pressure on energy prices and food prices. Every single news channel that we speak to is about protests against rising cost of living in every country in the world. So that's put pressure on the sporting industry, because when people are cutting jobs and people are cutting budgets and everything like that, the first thing to go is the sports sponsorship, or what companies deem to see as nice to have stuff. It's very difficult to fire employees and then still have multi-million rand sponsorship deals. So the market is tough at the moment, and for us as a football club, we have to navigate that. And we feel that we've done that over 25 years. We've navigated the ups and downs of the economies and the ups and downs by making different decisions at different times. And there's been times we've had to take a step back as a football club after we won the 3 league championships, as an example. Was a time that things were booming in football after the World Cup. We lost a lot of our big senior players at that time to the big 3, and we had to regroup as a club and we had to rebuild as a club. And it took us probably 4 years to get to a level where we had then molded a team that Gordon and Stuart and Eric kind of were able to do well with. So we understand that you can never stay on top forever. At the moment, Sundowns is running away with things and everything's great. But if we rewind 15 years, Sundowns have also gone through dips and troughs, and Pirates won back-to-back trebles, and Chiefs won 2 league championships in 3 years. So teams go through their ups and downs all the time, and we have to navigate that. We have to do that as an independent football club. So we don't get caught out, Chad, on who's the sponsor and who's this and who's that, because sponsors will change and sponsors will come and go, as you've seen. There'll be different premiership sponsors and different cup sponsors and different competitions that we participate in. Those things change over time, and you have to bob and weave according to the times. I'm unashamedly tell you, when Gavin was the coach last time, I didn't enjoy playing so much in Africa, because we were losing so much money. There was no prize money. There was no real incentive to go after things and chase things. And in the last few years, CAF's upped its game, and the prize money's been made more substantial and makes it a little bit more viable. PSL came to the party by helping clubs to be able to navigate through a couple of the first rounds, with the special grant that they give to the clubs that qualify for Africa. And now Gavin's come back 9 years later, and the board is saying, get us back to top 3 to qualify for Africa, and there's a different kind of an energy. So there's going to be different dips and troughs in the life cycle of a football club, and where we are at the moment is we took a view 3 years ago that the market was going to become tough. And if you can't look around the leagues now and see every single club offloading 10, 12, 15 players, yes or no? That's what you guys are at the coalface every single day. But my football club is not doing that. But I don't see one article to say SuperSport United actually is growing sensibly and keeping its core nucleus together and adding here and there, because we will make 3 or 4 signings now to tweak and refresh the team. We have to do that, but we've got a solid base, and I'd say 15 to 20 of the players within our squad are in either their mid-20s or their low 20s. And we've got a team now that, under a coach like Gavin, can be molded into something that can go again. And if we're lucky and Sundowns somehow can slip, because that's, you can be as good as you can be, but if someone's better than you, they're better than you. And Sundowns at the moment has got such a big squad and a loaded squad to play, on 2 fronts, that they're going to be very, very hard to topple. So if we say, okay, it's a step too far to us to challenge the league maybe right now, but can we finish in the top 4? Definitely we can finish. Even if I look at last season, yes, we scraped in the last day of the season to keep our top 8 record, but if you look at the games, and I don't read any of this from any of you, so I read about the sale of the club and I read about stuff like that, but I don't read about the penalty that Swallows got against me in the 93rd minute. That was a farcical penalty, and cost Andre 2 points. It cost the team 2 points. We were 1-0 up against Royal AM in the 89th minute and lost 2-1. We had 2 penalties against us against Baraka. We had 2 men sent off against Golden Arrows. So there were a lot of things that went against us last season, that we were leading in 7 games and tossed those leads away, which we have to take responsibility for. We can't look outside, and we have to look at ourselves and say we threw a lot of points away last season as a football club that would have seen us finish 4th or 5th. 4th. We could have got it last season. So I'm saying to you that we are confident in the nucleus of the young players that we have. We see what we have. You don't see what we have, but we see what we have. And in a couple of years' time, when teams are knocking on the door and the big transfers are coming from the big 3, then we get bashed. You're letting your best players go, and the club's not ambitious. But the reality of the football market is that players sign 2, 3, 4, maximum 5-year contracts. So even when you've got young players, there is going to be a time in their mid-20s where they're going to have the ability to become free, and you can lose them. So for us, we found our model. Our model is to develop good young players for South African football, to challenge, and be a disruptor on the field of play, which we've done, to try and add silverware to our cabinet. We've won 12 trophies, and I would like to see a lot more positivity from the media in terms of not always looking to bash SuperSport as Sundowns' development structure. Yes, the last 5 players we've sold to Sundowns. We're in a business, and when someone comes and you face 2 options. You're going to lose your player on a free, or you're going to have a grumpy, unhappy player that's sitting on the sidelines and actually becoming a problem in the camp, or you want to have players who actually love it at the football club. They're ambitious, they want to make a big thing for themselves down the line, they want to earn their big move. Fine, it's not a problem for us. Come, add to our trophy cabinet, show what you can do at SuperSport United Football Club, but not just come and use our club as a bus stop. That we don't want. And that's, so for us, we players like your brother who came and added to the trophy cabinet, when he wanted to move, it was, where would you like to go, and we'll make it work for you. Players like Tebo Homokwena, who was fantastic with us since he was a teenager, never missed a day's training, never gave a day's problem, fitness, work ethic, humility, educating himself, bettering himself, everything that you want in a person. When he's got a chance to go and, after 8-9 years at a club, go and make a move, you want to give a lad that chance. But we also aren't going to accept a culture in the club where young players want to stay 1 year and then they want to leave, or and that type of stuff. They've got to be adding to our football club, and we will then add to their lives. And I've got dozens and dozens of examples of young kids that came into our club who are today multi-millionaires. They're made for life. Their children will be provided for, and they don't have to work when they finished football. And that for me is a legacy that I'm very, very proud of our football club. But I never read it in the newspaper. I see other players from other clubs falling on hard times and not being treated so nice and everything. No player's ever been, had any issue of not being treated in an absolute professional manner. Before I came here to this press conference, I was at the training ground because I didn't want my players to read in the newspaper who's their coach, and I didn't want them to hear it secondhand because they're my number one stakeholders. And I went and told them first, and I think that's the essence of our football club. That's a club that that I'm proud to have been, a part of this journey. That we treat people, even the media, everybody. When you come to an environment that's nice, that's welcoming, that's professional, that's catered, that's. We're trying to add to the South African landscape so that the football product in South Africa is seen as a world-class product, and we're proud of that. From media, from studio, from broadcast, from the way we train our players at our youth academy and our staff, everything around the football club is things that we're proud that we contribute to. So yes, it's offensive when people want to try wish us away through a sale, or advance whatever agenda through that kind of talk, and also when people question about the direction of the football club and where we're going with our youth, and we're a kindergarten and all stuff like that. For me, I'm proud to be a kindergarten for South African football, because education and development and making the best of yourself starts somewhere, and we want to be able to hold on to that talent for longer. As a football club, I think we haven't done that enough, and so we certainly going to pay more attention, from that point of view to trying to retain our younger talent for longer. We are short of experience in the first team at the moment. Obviously, I don't know. Bradley Grobler has had a lot of injury problems last season and surgery, and tragically lost his mom last week. So he's one of our experienced players. Sian Schlapu, Bash, Gabuza. We've got a bit of experience, but we need to blend that in with a little bit more in the midfield, especially where our oldest midfield player, I think, is Jamie Webber, 24 or something. So then you're talking about Rasabocha and Mbata and Jesse Don, Grant Margeman. These are all young 24-year-old players. So we're going to look to add some stability in the midfield, some stability at the back, and hopefully challenge for that top 4 spot this season.
Stan, just to chip into something, you spoke about the experience and new players coming in. I mean, Kevin just got here and the window is still open. How much of an input does he have on the actual signings that you're looking at?
He's going to have a great input, because I didn't make any signings up to now because I was waiting for the new head coach. Everybody knows that at our football club, our coaches are responsible for results. It means they must have input and say in what happens in terms of what we bring in. So we haven't moved in the transfer market at all. Because I know the other questions that are going to follow about who's going where and who's swapping and what.
We've been around.
Yeah. So genuinely, I haven't made any moves because it's senseless to make a move and then a new head coach would come along and say, but I don't like what I found here. So what he knows, what everybody knows, what we had, that was the brief. What we're going to bring in, the 3 or 4 players that we'll bring in, maximum 4 players. the coach will have absolute input into that, and it will, if we can afford it, it will be his call. If we can't afford it, then he has to give me player B, player C, player D until I can afford, and then we'll bring in the 4 players that will be the coach's pick. That's how we do things in the club. I can't make Gavin responsible for results, and later I'm the one who has to fire him, and then say to him, but you must play with the players that you found here. He's going to be given an opportunity to work with what we've got, but he's also going to be given an opportunity to change the complexion of the team by adding 4 players to the team before the close of the transfer window.
PSL CEO position, your name has been bandied around.
My name's been bandied around in an article that is absolute rubbish and has no substance. So I can't respond to that, and it's not in the pipeline at all. I've been at SuperSport United Football Club for the most of my professional life, except for a few months. So I'm very happy where I am at the club, and unlike you guys who think the club's being sold, I see a bright future for the club, and obviously from succession planning and all those type of things, the next 3 to 5 years is going to be a very exciting time for us, and I'm looking forward to that. So there's never been any discussion or anything at all around me going back to the PSL. I think the chairman had a press conference on Friday where he addressed this matter, and it's not on the table, so there's nothing to comment about that.
Stan, does the arrival of Gavin Hunt change anything about Ronwen's future? Because he did say he wants to challenge for trophies, and obviously the narrative is here that Hunt is coming to trophies.
Yeah, look, today's not about Ronwen. It's as I've said, we've had a good chat with Ronwen. We know where he stands. We know what he wants in his career, and we're going to try and accommodate that. It's never just a straightforward situation, because there's negotiations, there's discussions, and now that I've got a coach, maybe there's players. So there's nothing that's been advanced to any level that I can concretize right now. But certainly once I've sat down with Gavin over the weekend and look at different permutations of how we can freshen up the team, then and what kind of replacements we can get in which positions and what that's going to take, then I'll have a clearer picture in my own mind about how viable the sale of Ronwen will be. It's likely that he's going to move, but as I say, it's something that I've got to sit down and discuss with Gavin. If we can't get the right kind of replacement, Gavin's very strong on the spine of the team, and that starts with a keeper. And Ronwen's the national team keeper. He's our most capped player. He's our captain. He's our poster child. He's our longest serving player, probably the longest serving player in the history of any club in South African football. So it's not a normal trading of a player. This is a son of the club, and someone that's going to be impossible to replace in the short term. So for us, we have to look at that, and once I've got a sense of what the coach wants and which area of the team he wants to spend more money, and what options are out there for me in terms of finding a potential Ronwen replacement that can move forward with the club and can be part of our future for the next 4 or 5 years, that's what we have to factor in. And then I'll take my mandate from the board, and we'll go to the board with the requests that Gavin wants, and the suggestions of how to trade and who can go where that makes sense for us. And if that all, then we'll submit that to the board during the course of next week. And then let's see what happens. We obviously don't want signings to drag. We would like to wrap up all our business by the end of next week, in and out. So now that we know we've got a coach and who the coach is and what his training schedule is going to be and what the rest of pre-season looks like, so we will sit down and by the end of next week we'll probably call another press conference just in terms of announcing some signings, and let's see where we go with Ronnie.
Last one. All good. Thank you, guys.